Assalamu alaikum. Inshallah, Malana, brother Sayyid Imran Qasim will be starting on time in 2 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to mention a campaign a couple of times. At the moment, there's not many people here. Inshallah, I'll mention it closer when there is more audience as well. But as you know, we're in this COVID-19 situation the world over, and the world is in a hunt for a vaccine. A lot can be said around that, but what can we do? And you may have heard on the news or throughout various sources that there is one hope, and to some degree it has been successful. Some people who have been in intensive care due to COVID-19 and the fighting for the last breath, they've been treated with blood plasma, so transfusion from people who had COVID and survived. So inshallah, later on today, I will give you a bit more information about that, about how you can sign up, and inshallah, potentially you can save someone's life. We'll now hand over to Brother Sayyid Imran Qasim for the English lecture after a loud start.
على تكبير على رسالة وعلى هيدري هيدري برای خشنودی امام زمانہ محمد وآل محمد. Can you all hear me from the mic? Let me get my little notebook out just to remember the chronology of what I'm going to speak. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا وحبيبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين والمعصومين والمظلومين. رب اشرح لي ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنما وليكم الله ورسوله والذين آمنوا الذين يقيمون الصلاة ويؤتون الزكاة وهم راكعون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and all the people, the viewers watching on YouTube. Seems like I said something wrong yesterday. So, but I guess that's the way it is. Normally when I start my session of lectures, I always like to first of all convey my thanks to the relevant people before I start speaking. And yesterday I was a little bit hassled because I was late, as you all know, and I barely had any time. So I convey my thanks to whom I am here in this position where you are inviting me, a little person like me, to speak on a huge personality of Imam Hussein and his sacrifice on Islam and the rest of it. So I'd like to thank my teachers, the foremost being my wife. She's not to be thanked only because she's my wife, but she's an alim. And I'm sure if she was somebody who promoted herself, people will be clamoring for her. Or if she was a man, and for Quran tafsir and all that, will be asking her for her services like you asked Sheikh Damanpur, for example. And I'd like to also thank my dear teacher in the house, all the teachers, especially Sheikh Muhammad Ali Shamali, due to his, his teachings have given me a lot of direction and learning. So I always do that, but I wasn't able to do it yesterday. And a lot of other people who have helped me to study a little bit and learn, and hopefully I've made an effort to change myself. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So I started yesterday with the ayat of Wilayah, which is 55 of 5. Surah Maida 55, as you all know. And was talking about how, this verse gives us the direction of our belief system as such. Because Allah says your wali is nobody but Allah, His Rasul, and the one who has Iman, as in the belief, does and establishes prayers and the zakat in ruku, not just zakat, but in ruku. So this is basis of our belief, our usul al-deen, for the mu'mineen who are sitting here at least. And I want to discuss this further. I'll take this onwards as we go through these sessions. In the world, people who are familiar with politics, which you all are, I guess, where you're all exposed to the media, we see lots of different kind of administrative structures in the world, in the current times and in the past. We've had kingship, emperors, dynasties. We've had dictators, still are a few, and we have democracy, which is the modern buzzword for the ultimate in politics of administration. So, but you see there are differences in these kinds of systems. But one thing is common, which is that people are not normally happy with that. Somewhere or the other, there's a problem, because these words have a distance in them. If you are a king, you have people who are obeying you. If you're a dictator, you have people who are obeying you, whether you like it or not. They have to for survival. Even in democracies, you all know, there's no special, feelings for the really oppressed and the poor. Everybody's out there to gain a position so that they can further their own gains. Well, I want to not say everybody, but most of it. No, there's a lot to be desired by politicians as such. So, every system has a certain kind of a resentment of people against the people who are leading. But if I was to name one system that the Quran actually offers, is the system of Wilayah, where there can't be any hate or anger at it. I'll say why. Because Wilayah is a system, it's not based on pressure. It's not about that you have to do what I tell you. It is about mutual respect. It's about mutual understanding and mutual benefit. And you either accept the leader as the leader for yourself. You're not, okay, you have these 2 or 3 choices, you have to vote for these people, and you don't like either of them. Yet you have to vote, because you have to have a system of governance. But in the Wilayah, as you have seen in history, there is no system in which the wali goes and asks people, you give me bayah. You've seen in history. Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, he never went out to get the votes. He saw people being asked to lead once and twice and thrice, but he was still there on his principles. He never wavered. He never said, take me up to be your leader. You need me as your leader. Everybody knew they needed him as the leader, but nobody had the strength to stand on principles, to stand on what is right, when at the same time seeing that the righteous person's rights are being usurped, but they kept quiet. But there came a time when literally everybody, the male members, came to the door of Ali and said, you have to lead us, we will give you bayah. If you don't take my bayah, I will not go from the door. That's what the wali is all about. People come and say, we love you, we want you, we know that you are the main leader. Come on. help us. And that's when Imam Ali alayhi salam took up the leadership. Salawatu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The system of wilaya is not just about that. It starts from the home. It starts from the home, from the house. How does it start from the home? You see, you hear sometimes stories that, someone's home is breaking up because, the son grew up, he married on his own, and now there's tension in the house. But let me talk to the elders in the house, who may be watching, some of them. Sometimes it's not always the fault of the youngsters. Sometimes elders have to look into themselves as well. What was their attitude towards their son or their daughter? Were you behaving properly with your son? Were you behaving properly? What kind of attitude you have to do your daughter-in-law that came to the house? What was the attitude? Then you realize that, okay, there was a problem within me as well. It's not always about youngsters. Of course, youngsters can make mistakes, elders can make mistakes as well. There's no guarantee of isma just because you are older. Salawatu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Yeah. No. You all understand isma? All the young boys? Isma being error-free. You have no fault in yourself. Sometimes we call it infallibility, but I'm using the word error-free. When you're error-free, you are a masoom. The 14 masoom, as you all know, right? We heard that. So, age is not a guarantee that you are masoom, or you have isma, or you are error-free. If you are not error-free when you're a baby, there's no guarantee that you'll be error-free when you grow up to be 60. A masoom is a masoom when he's a baby, when he's young, and when he's old. Salawatu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The child doesn't know what kind of mistakes you made when you were young. As a young child, how much your parents had to chase you to study, or to do the dishes, or to take out the trash. But you will claim that when you just listened to our parents. Maybe generally you did. But the child doesn't know. He wasn't there. She wasn't there. The point is that age is no guarantee. If you have not been error-free as a child, as a young person, why should we expect you to become error-free just because you're 60 or 70 or 80? There's no guarantee of isma with age. And there's hadith from the Masumeen which says that treat the child between the ages of 0 to 7 as a king. Yeah? This is about the tarbiyah of a child. It's going to be a shock to that child. There are lots of tears, lots of anger. How kinship has been taken away. My kinship has been taken away. Now I'm a slave. I have to do all these things. I never wanted to do it. But the point, that is the learning schedule provided by the Masumi. That then he or she will learn that kinships go away. They can be taken away. They will learn to be able to take the jokes of life when they grow up. But once they are 14 and beyond, Masumi say in the hadith that you have to treat them like their aid, like their friend. You have to take some opinions of those people who are 14 and above, your daughter, your son. They should feel important, should be treated like a wazir, like I said. That way, the reasons and the advice and the opinions you will get from your children from there will be a lot more reasonable, with a lot more intellection, because they've seen both sides, king as well as pauper. They know that kinship can be taken away now. In life, it can happen anytime. But they also know that they can grow from being a servant to an aide. And that way, it gives them the opportunity to contribute in the family. So a system of wilaya, if it exists in the house, will never lead a house to get torn apart. The way the children will grow up will be according to certain standards, which is not your standard. You don't have to be a ruler just because you're a father. A father should not demote himself to a ruler. That's a demotion. A father should behave like a father. And respect will be automatic. Or at least not automatic, then His personality, his behavior will demand respect. You all grown-ups know in the workplace what happens. You can ask somebody to give you respect. It doesn't happen. If you behave like a leader always commands respect. A mother should not think of herself as a queen. That's another demotion. A mother's status is such that the head of the child will never go up from her feet. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And this status has been given by the ruler of all rulers and by his Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So don't devote yourself to become a queen when you start demanding respect and demanding do this, do that. I'll give you another example. I am sitting here, you made me sit here. Okay? When I come in here, everybody is like salam, salam, Maulana, Maulana, salam. I become like one of those people who say, yeah, okay, get me this, get me that. And you start thinking after 1 or 2 minutes that, this person is not exactly what we expected. He's behaving in a very haughty manner. He's not showing us respect. I am commanding respect from you, not because of who I am, because of this. Anybody else can come, you will show the same respect. But I will lose respect as soon as I start behaving in a different manner, when I don't show you respect. My person is going to lose that respect. There will be no wilaya between me and you, because I'm starting to command you and demand from you, being unreasonable, trying to show that I'm better than somebody that I'm not. Just because you made me come and sit here and say a few nice words about Islam and Imam Hussain alayhi salam. This is a sharaf from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Masumi. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa alayhi. I mean, forget about parents, even the one who is the ruler of the world, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the ruler, he can command anything from anybody. Many of us here are baligh at a certain age, you become baligh. Some of you are not baligh yet, inshallah you will become baligh with time. And all of us are same as an aqil, the terminology being the fiqh terminology. And once we are baligh and aqil, we have certain taklif, which is given by the Almighty Shari, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the one who legislates as far as the rules of ibadah are concerned, right? So when he legislates that you have to do this, he doesn't say you, now you're baligh, start doing your salat. In the month of Ramadan, make sure you do your fasting. He doesn't say that. He says, I'm giving you taklif. Look at these type. Look at the terminology. This is the ruler of the world you're talking about. So I'm giving you some taklif. Please, can you execute it? Execute this taklif of yours. We become mukallaf because we have the taklif, and he is the mukallif. Remember these pronunciations very, very carefully. Mukallaf and mukallif. The people who understand Arabic, one vowel here and there makes a mistake. Totally different word. We are the mukallaf because we have to execute the taklif. The one who gives the taklif is the mukallif, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this case. Salawat ala Muhammad wa alayhi. But we have limitations. As you all know, we are limited by space, time, matter. Because we are material beings along with being spiritual beings. Human beings are slightly different than other animals, right? Because we have a spiritual side, we have the ruh, and we have the body, obviously. At one given time, we can only execute one taklif. Right? If you're doing your prayers, you can't do anything else at the same time. You're going to offer your prayers, salat, and that's it. If you go to somebody's house to give some khums or zakat, because that person is eligible for it, then that's the only thing you can do at one given time, right? But you saw in history, there was one man who underwent and executed 2 takalif at one time. He was doing his prayers, he was doing his salah, and he gave zakah at the same time. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. That is the easy bit. For the person we are referring to here, giving zakat in his salat is not as big a deal as giving something in the field of battle. In the field of battle, it's about your life. You have to be very focused what you're doing, how you're doing it. And there was a time when he saw in a battle with Ali ibn Abi Talib was face to face with a mushrik, and there were some exchanges, and the sword of the mushrik fell very side, and he was on his own. And he said, "To Ali, now you have every chance of defeating me and killing me." He doesn't realize that Ali ibn Abi Talib is not a slave to a sword. He doesn't need a sword to win over people. Ali alayhi salam throws his sword to his feet. And I said, "Pick it up." And the man is taken aback. He said, "Ali, this is battle. Now who is going to save you from me?" Ali says, "The same one who saved you from me is going to save me from you." Salawatu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. He took the sword, put it at Ali's feet, and said, "Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, wahdahu la sharika lahu, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh." This is how Islam was spread, my dear brothers and sisters. Not through the sword, not through killing. There's a misnomer, there's a misunderstanding that there was some major battles that took place. Tell me which battle took place when Islam went to India, that kind of India. Which battle took place? I don't know. What battle is taking place in the Western world these days? Where people one by one, online, I want to accept Islam. I want to accept Islam. How is this happening? No battle happening. The love of Ali was such that through his personality, through his belief, he could engage people in such a manner that people would take up what he believed in. And that is what we are lacking these days. Our insistence is on trying to convince somebody to take up a religion. You cannot just convince somebody by force. You can convince somebody by love, affection, and academically reasoning with that person. Just because you haven't been to university doesn't mean that you're not intelligent. You have reason, you have intellect. Because sometimes even people of knowledge and a lot of intellectual ability go astray. And they lead others astray at the same time. Now it's not about having the degrees, it's about reasoning and reflection from where Allah has given us aql. You have to reason and reflect a lot more by reading books of value. Not any book, but books of value. And we fail in that degree, me and you, all of us fail in that degree a little bit because we do not study the Quran, which is the basic book of all Muslimin. We have to study the Quran. We don't just recite it in the month of Ramadan, 30 juz, finish it, again back on top of the cupboard. At least, even if you pick up 5 verses in a month, to study it, to delve into it, understand it, our understanding will increase. I'm talking about all of us. I'm not pointing fingers here. And the earlier you start, as far as age is concerned, the better off you will be by the time you get to 30, 35, 40. You have a better understanding and you will be in a better position to explain your deen to somebody who doesn't understand it. There's lots of propaganda. There's lots of propaganda, as you all know. Who is responsible for clearing up the propaganda, the confusion? Us, all of us. Maybe more for me because I'm wearing this dress of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. We have to be careful. We have to be careful how we are preparing to become Muslims. Mu'min, we call ourselves Mu'min. Mu'min is one who has proper iman. It's not just that you said a few kalima and then you become Mu'min. Okay, that's a start. That's a start. There is no finish to it. Every time we have to develop ourselves to become better and better, so that we can be called real Husayni. Just because you're doing Nara Haidari when you come here, it doesn't make you a better Mu'min or better Husayni than somebody else. Okay, it has its own value, it has its own sawab, but that gives you more responsibility, more taklif, because you're claiming that you are a follower of Ali ibn Abi Talib. That gives us more responsibility to behave in a manner that he showed us, that his children showed us. how to behave, how much to learn. It's a sad situation, and people, our communities, are the least educated in Islam. One whose Rasul said, you have to take in knowledge from the time of the cradle to the time of the grave. If you have to go as far as China, go and get knowledge. We are lacking behind. We don't have inventors. We don't have the modern day intellectuals who are creating stuff for our communities. We are dependent on what is being offered to us by somebody who has no good interest of our communities. We have to start by developing our own systems, not in conflict with anybody, but we have to develop our own systems so that we educate and we give the people the chance to think and prosper. Vilayat is about progression. Each and every one of us in the household, we start from there, where we give a chance for people to develop to their best, whatever their interest is. Just because you're an engineer doesn't mean your son or daughter should also be an engineer. That's the problem in our communities as well. You have to be a doctor. Indoctrinate the person to be a doctor or a lawyer. Well, that person one day might want to make some nice artistic graphics like those. Maybe they want to be a graphic designer. Maybe they want to be something else. Let them grow and find out for themselves what they want to do. And be happy about that. It's about being happy in life, being satisfied in life. Happiness doesn't mean getting things. Happiness means being content in heart. That is the most important thing we need to give our children. Inshallah ta'ala, we become the wali in our house and give the wilayat of Ali and the wilayat of Allah to whom we are responsible for. That's where we start. I have lots of things to say. I'm barely reading half of what I write for each day. Yesterday also, it was a bit of a challenge. Half an hour is a bit of a challenge. That's what it is. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I'm very appreciative of all the fact that you all are listening to me so attentively. Nobody is yawning yet. Hopefully you won't. You have masks, I know, but I can make out if you're yawning or not. I think I am able to engage you today. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I'll leave the rest for tomorrow because the topic that I had to further on from here is quite detailed, and I will speak about it tomorrow, inshallah. If Allah gives me the tawfiq. I hope you have gained something. Don't, as I said yesterday, don't look at the one who's speaking. It might be small time. Look at the message. If it resonates with you, take it. If you have a conflict in you, ask the question. I'm not running away. If you don't find me here later on because I have to run on the money list, so write down the question. Give it to Brother Amir, Brother Hussein. Anyway, they all have my phone numbers. Send me the objections and questions that you have from my lecture or talk, and I will inshallah endeavor to answer you as best as I can. If I can't answer, I'll find the answer and give it to you, inshallah ta'ala. And we, give our love and our affections to Imam Hussein salam now for a few minutes. It's the end of the second Muharram. Remember the time when Imam Hussein was ready to leave Medina before the 28th of Rajab. He went to his brothers, especially Abbas alayhi salam. He said, remember to take care of Sakina. Remember to take care of my cousin Muslim's daughter. She's going to be coming with us. Remember my sisters, Zainab and Umm Kulthum are with us. Make sure you take care of their hijab. Imam is counting each and every person who might be going with them and reminding Abbas to take care of them. And when they're ready to leave, a little sobbing noise from behind the door of a girl. Who is sobbing? She's sobbing. It is found out that it's none other than Fatima Sughra, because she's not being taken with the Imam. She's not being taken with her father on the journey that they're about to embark upon. And Imam sees her, lifts her in his arms. Say, Fatima Sughra, you are sick. That's why I'm not taking you with the rest. And the little child, she says, "You're not taking me because I'm sick, but who's there to look after? You're taking my mother. You're taking my aunt. I'm being left the world for what reason?" Imam Hussein knows the answer. I don't know the answer. All I know that there's a child of Imam Hussein who was left there for a purpose, so that she could stay there and Imam could embark on his journey. He gave all these wasiyah to Abbas, but on the 11th of Muharram, there was nobody to carry out his wasiyah at all. He himself was not there to look after anybody. To say this is the second end of the second day of Muharram, and on this day they have reached Karbala. They have reached a place where the horse of Imam Hussein does not want to move forward. So Imam Hussein changes his horse, takes another one. Even that horse refuses to move forward. Riwayat say that Imam changed 6 or 7 horses, but none of the horses would move from there. And then Imam Hussein asked for the local people of that place. Asked them, "What is the name of this place? My horses are not moving towards the destination." And one person says, "This is known as Shat al-Farad." Imam Hussein says, "No, is there any other name?" Somebody comes and says, "This is Nanua." Imam asks a few people different names, they give different names. And one person comes and without any hesitation, this is called Karbala. This is called Karbala as well. And Imam says, "I have reached my destination." And he asks Abbas, "Oh Abbas, put down the tents here. This is where we are going to stay now, and this is where we are going to die." Abbas says, "You know already we're going to die now." And Imam starts explaining, "Yes, this is where we're all going to die. This is where our skin will lose their hijab. Their chadars are going to be snatched. Their sheets are going to be snatched by the enemy." Now Zainab is obviously obeying her brother and Imam's command by getting down, but a gust of wind comes and moves her veil from her head, and an entire gust of sand comes onto her face, and she gets very perturbed. She gets very, very upset about it. So she sends a message to her brother to come and talk to her. Imam Hussein quickly rushes towards his sister. He says, "What is the matter, Zainab?" And Zainab says, "Oh my dear brother, I don't like this place. As soon as I got down there, a gust of wind blew away my chadar. I don't get good vibe from this place." I'm upset. Zainab, this is our place. I remember a time during the Battle of Siffin when I was passing by. I was with my father and my brother, and we had stopped here. And my father was sleeping on with his head on the lap of my brother. And he woke up with a start. And he woke up and he started crying, looking at me. And he said to me, "Oh Hussein, my dear son, this is the place you're going to be killed. This is the place your brothers and your children are going to be killed. And this is the place your sisters are going to be withheld from their hijab. Remember this place." And I remember this place now, Zainab. This is where we are all going to be losing our lives and our hijab. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أيام القلوب